Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first OCDTV of 2015. That's right, we're back for probably 3 or 4 episodes, however many we decide to make. I am your host, Steve Danger Awesome, the host with the most. Don't believe me, just watch. With me as always, everyone's favorite, ever-loving, blue-eyed blogger. He's all about the bass and the treble, Brian Connors. And finally, the ladies. That's right, he's back. A man who, well, let's put it this way. If you've seen your average hip-hop video, then you see what he calls Tuesday. Joe, the Rooster, Grand Roos.
All right, look, I'm here. You'll let my family go, right? You'll let them go.
We'll talk about it.
We're working on it.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it tonight. The best of the rest, we're going to do a series, probably not in any particular order, of sci-fi franchises that we feel didn't quite live up to their expectations. The runners-up, the number 2s, the little franchises that almost could but didn't.
Yeah, in other words, everything that isn't Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who.
Correct. I'm sure that...
I thought you said sci-fi. Why are you talking about Star Wars?
I don't... Again, we'll talk about how, you see, it's in space. So,
the Force is magic, and they prophesize everything.
So is the Vulcan mind meld.
Vehemently disagree.
That's not... It's telepathy is magic because it's not real.
Your midichlorian count is low.
See, we're already talking about the Stars, Wars, and Trek.
Yes.
We're already doing that. We weren't supposed to do that today.
What can I say? My mind's warped.
You really forced that one.
I may have. You know, I may have listened to too much cheesy pop music on the way over here.
I think it's too much.
Shake it off.
Again, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know what Uptown Funk You Upping is, but I desperately want someone to do it to me. And with that segue, let's move on to film. I think Comic Book Guy said it best when speaking to MacGyver. Of the 4 sci-fi franchises, Star franchises, Wars, Trek, Gate, and Search, yours is my 3rd favorite. I think Gate...
Star Search is your 3rd favorite?
No. I'm going to bring up Stargate just because of the sheer number of episodes for 10 seasons for SG-1 and I think 6 for Atlantis. It's one of these franchises that nobody ever talks about. Roland Emmerich is talking about redoing it. The film holds up now as probably his best movie in my estimation. I mean, his films after that got bigger, but they weren't better.
No.
You know, and I think there's a lot of potential there, and it just never really got off the ground. And maybe it was cheap, and that's why Sci-Fi kept producing it. But
that does tend to be why Sci-Fi produces literally anything.
I mean, it was an entertaining show. The cast had good chemistry, but nobody talks about it. We don't have Stargate conventions.
Yeah.
There's no merchandise. I mean, there is, but
is there? I don't.
Yeah, you can buy like prop replicas and stuff.
I don't think prop replicas should count. Merchandising should be like toys that you find at Toys R Us or shirts with their logo on it.
Well, there was some toys.
Like you can find props for.
Funny story about that. There were some action figures for the first movie, and they had. I want to say this was the first one, but they were printing the names of the actors on the cardstock.
That's not how it's usually done.
And you know, so and so as so and so, and this was like one of the arguments that the action figure sculptors were using to say, why can't you put my name on the box? Because the manufacturers were saying, well, there's no room. You know, and that's where you got like the 4 Horsemen and stuff like that. But I want to say it was the Stargate action figures that really got that debate going. I mean, because they did it for the figures for the first X-Men film too.
I do know, I mean, I've spent a lot of time in the last few years on Second Life, and I have seen the occasional Stargate object. So it's not completely unrecognized, but it's definitely below the radar.
You don't see people like going to like championing their fandom of it. And I have watched every episode of that stuff. I mean, I ate that up when it was on, but we just kind of pass it over, like forgotten.
Well, I imagine it did give us James Spader, so there's that.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, no, he did all those weird sex movies before that, and then
Boy,
continued
did he.
afterwards.
I thought
I mean, like, that's what we need. We need James Spader back in a weird sex science fiction movie. Like, can we make Stargate? Like, can we get like H.R. Geiger to design the sets? Oh no, he's dead.
I think we'll leave James Spader on network TV until they realize that networks should have never, ever, ever green-lighted the blacklist. That was all cable. I don't know how they got it on.
Yeah, cable seems to be owning most of the popular genres.
Yeah.
Oh no, another good example would be Falling Skies. Although we showed it move on to television. I don't know. Keith isn't here to talk about Falling Skies, unfortunately. He let us all
remember
down.
that one.
He loves it. I haven't watched it, but again, another one of these series is that just the studio was behind it and it had more creative freedom because it was on cable, and that's where this stuff is really surviving.
Yeah, actually another case which was big in its time, but really, and I think you can blame meddling from Warner Brothers from this and, killing Crusade early, but Babylon 5. It was huge in its time, and there was, at least until Majel Barrett did a cameo on the show, there was the whole Bab 5 Star Trek rivalry.
Yeah, and that hasn't really passed. Part of that was Straczynski pitched the idea to Paramount, and they passed on it, so he went off to do Babylon 5, but then they went and made DS9 anyway, and it's sort of like, that's what started the rivalry, because the Star Trek fans really loved DS9.
It's true.
I mean, that's again, you heard it from the source, folks.
Yeah.
Although they used to hate DS9.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to hear them talk about it now.
In retrospect, it was easily the best series.
Yeah.
I have to say, though, Babylon 5 not getting its due is really a shame because, among other things, the comedy on it was just awesome.
It's a well-written show, and part of the reason it was a problem, it was on cable, but they kept moving it around.
Yeah.
And this was at a time, if you not everybody had the internet. I mean, you couldn't really, it was in its infancy. You couldn't go on to the television's website. We didn't have DVRs. I mean, well, we had VCRs, but who the hell knew how to work those things?
Yeah, would you believe I haven't watched it in a long time, but I have pretty much the entire show on VHS.
Sure.
What's a VHS?
That's a brick that used to have a movie on it. But the background radiation from stars that exploded billions of years ago that are just now passing through our solar system has erased the magnetic encoding inside.
That sounds awesome. Why don't we do that anymore?
I don't know. I mean, I can't understand why that format didn't stick around.
No, I guess we got to rewind.
I don't know. Yes, Babylon 5.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Babylon 5 is definitely, I think a lot of people are going to talk about it. And it's sort of that group of, I was talking about this when we were discussing RPGs and D&D versus Pathfinder. Like, everybody I know who plays Pathfinder and GURPS is also a huge Bab 5 fan, because it's like they just have to do the rebellious thing and not watch Star Trek. I mean, like, how rebellious do you need to be? You're already watching science fiction. You're different.
You're playing D&D and watching science fiction. Let's call a spade a spade. You're a dork.
Yeah.
Yeah, that goes without saying if you're watching this.
Or on this.
Even more so.
Well, I mean, no one's paying us, so we have to want to be here.
Exactly.
Which is sad, but
So
also good.
What else do we got? Battlestar Galactica, especially the reboot.
Yeah, except that when they went to the format change at the beginning of season 3, and it sucked. I mean, they went from a continuous storyline about the last few survivors of the human race being pursued across the galaxy by a race of genocidal robots to episodic social justice finger wagging. And they're stuck in the airlock. I mean, where's the war? Where's the overarching story that got everybody hooked on that show? Oh, that's right. They wanted regular people to start watching because they had a hit on their hands.
Yeah. Well,
And it ruined it. So
I guess it depends on your perspective. I mean, what goes for the hardcore fan isn't always going to go for the regular
No, I understand that, but I don't think I don't really think they got the ratings boost they wanted, was my point. No, they had a hit already the way the show was. And they alienated a bunch of people. That show jumped the shark so hard the sharks went extinct.
Well, it's worth noting too that Ronald Moore, who helmed the new version, had actually worked for Paramount on Star Trek, and one of the things he tried to do was make the new Battlestar the anti-Trek.
Yeah, he wanted to make it very different, and then they didn't anymore.
Well, I've seen the series Bible, but that was a few years ago.
Yeah, it's not important. They ruined it, and the ending was quite possibly the worst ending ever.
Yeah. I don't know. There must be some kind of way out of there.
They're just gonna have to reboot the franchise again, but I don't know what momentum it has behind it. I know there are franchises that do have momentum behind it that certain studios just really won't get behind, although they might be supremely overrated. I'm of course talking about Firefly, but
Oh, I thought you said overrated. I'm confused.
I don't. It's
Firefly
over.
was amazing. You shut up.
No, it was good, but it wasn't like
Yeah, I know.
the best show ever.
It was great. I loved it. And I got into it years after the fact. It's not like I was a fan from when it first aired on TV. I'm not a Firefly hipster.
I had a very young son at the time. I was married, so I was home on Friday nights. I think that was then. Must have been. When did it come out?
I watched it years after the fact.
All I know is
I want to say like 2001, 2002.
Yeah, I want to say my son was an infant, and I was, home on Friday nights. So I watched the original series, but they played the episodes out of order. They only played like 6. They didn't play like the whole thing. It was the same thing Fox always does.
Right.
I enjoyed it, but looking back at everyone who watched the existing episodes and Serenity and is going nuts over it now, I just think they're.
I kind of agree with that.
I mean, it's a good show, but
It's a great show. It's one of those shows. It's kind of nice that they stopped it before it got terrible. It's one of those great shows where you can marathon every fantastic episode in a day, which I do roughly once a year.
It didn't last long enough to disappoint us.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that inevitably happens.
Although not always, I think the modern era that's sort of shifted away from that, though, depending on what you're getting. I mean, obviously there's going to be a stinker of an Avengers film at some point.
Yeah.
But we're at the peak right now, so let's
Pick
enjoy it
any
while
of the
we're here.
animated ones.
No, I'm talking about the film franchise.
Well, they've been. I mean, the thing about Marvel is they've been. I think we discussed this in one of our other shows. Marvel's gotten to the point where the movie universe is almost going back to the old Saturday afternoon serials from our parents' day.
Yeah, no, it's definitely following that.
Grandparents'
Now you have the television series that they're tying in. I mean, I think Disney's running the risk of market saturation, but we'll see. I mean, the superhero renaissance can't last forever.
Marvel's giving us a Justice League movie. Not, directly, but they're giving us a Justice League movie.
Marvel?
Marvel is giving us a Justice League movie because Warner is struggling to keep up with their massive financial success. You would think Justice League would have come out first. You would think that Wonder Woman would have gotten a live-action movie before freaking Ant-Man.
It's my understanding that the powers that be at Warner Brothers don't want to look as if they're trying to copycat Marvel's format, which is the worst thing to do ever. You need to copy what Marvel was doing. Just do it the exact same way. It's what the fans want. And for God's sake, have somebody tell at least one joke.
Yeah.
Not even the same way. I think DC should have gone into crossover movies. Start with Superman, Batman. You get your Flash, Green Lantern movie. You get a, Wonder Woman, Black Canary movie. Yeah. Do crossovers among all your live action
Incidentally,
characters.
they're doing all that on Arrow and Flash on the CW. I mean,
those shows are amazing.
They really are great. I mean, can we just say that now? Hey, talk second tier sci-fi. I mean, since we're on it.
Oh, yeah, they would count, wouldn't they?
People are not watching those shows. Like they've got the standard CW ratings.
Who's not watching Arrow?
What I'm saying is they've got the standard amount of CW ratings, which is like a handful of people are watching, and it's going to get 10 seasons anyway.
Right.
Because it's a CW. Great, but those shows are great. Why aren't people watching Arrow? Like, I didn't give it a fair enough chance in the beginning because I thought for sure it was going to be completely stupid.
Oh, yeah, it took me so long to start getting into Arrow.
But
I wanted to see Flash when it came out for some god-awful reason.
Well, because when Arrow launched, they were adamant it wasn't a superhero show. and they were trying to avoid the more fantastic elements. And then the writers started to get more freedom, and they started working all that stuff in. And by the time season 2 came out, everyone was like, "Oh no, he's fighting a superpowered Deathstroke. You need to be watching this." And I was like, "Oh, they're teasing the Flash." You know.
I don't know. I always like the animated Teen Titans. I guess that puts me kind of on the outside here.
No, that was
not
good.
not if you're a 10-year-old girl.
When that show was on, my kid was very young, so
Yeah.
he was watching it, and it was.
I mean, if you're going to go Teen Titans, Young Justice did everything Teen Titans did, but better. It was okay. It was more non-serial. It was more, yeah, it was more serial, not episodic. There we go.
It had good writing though.
Fantastic writing. Greg Weisman is amazing.
But no, you can't dismiss the impact of Teen Titans. It was popular for its day, and it was.
Yeah, but
well
I hate
conceived,
lots of popular things, despite the fact that it's popular. And then I go home and I listen to Taylor Swift.
Now, where do we fit back to
That's
the
your problem.
Where do we fit
Why
back
you
to
gotta
the
be so
future
mean?
into this?
I know. What?
Where do we fit Back to the Future into this?
Is Back to the Future is that a franchise that is it just old? I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if it would be.
I mean, it is 2015.
Yes.
Where's my goddamn hoverboard?
They have an entire year to get you your hoverboard. Be patient.
You know what? Too little, too late.
I'm just going to get a Marlins jersey that says 85 McFly on the back.
I just think they should start selling DeLoreans again.
They are.
Oh, good. I'm a genius.
AMC is producing all electric DeLoreans.
But
They're like $120,000.
with no Mr. Fusion.
I presume that they will offer it as an accessory.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all right then.
Although it might not run on beer.
Well, no, that's for the driver.
Well, look, all I'm saying is if they're going to produce it again, they better put a proper replica of the flux capacitor in there. There's no point in owning it.
Right.
I mean, obviously there should be a center console with the date on it. I mean, that's
2 dates.
2 dates.
Today's date and then the date exactly 30 years ago.
Should we talk about the I don't know. I don't want to get into the circular time loops of Back to the Future, but I do hear they are talking about rebooting it.
I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, no, there's talk
The last
about
thing
it.
I've heard from Back to the Future was the Telltale game series from like 5 years ago.
And they did a Lego set.
Did they?
Yeah, no, they've just sort of been. I mean, all of entertainment, all of the entertainment industry has been, sort of dartboarding out every popular thing from 30 years ago to try and. I mean, this is why it's like we're in that first wave of '90s nostalgia right now. It's why we're going to get a Power Rangers movie.
So just so I'm clear, before we go talk about Power Rangers, my other
But
waifu.
that was my segue.
I'm never going to get my Enterprise Lego set, am I?
No, but there's a competing block set.
Still.
It's like Mega Blocks or whatever. Like Hasbro has a.
All right, Power Rangers.
There is one made out of Lego bricks that fit with other Legos.
That was my segue.
Just don't ride a Segway, because then you'll look more like a dork.
If that doesn't bother you, though, you can ride the Segway all you want.
Yes, but
I'm wearing a Batman shirt right now. I don't think riding a Segway is going to make me look
I
like more of a
guess
dork at all.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, he thought it was going to revolutionize transportation. It's a scooter. There's some really
It's
great technology in there, but it's a scooter.
But it's a scooter you can use as a hammer. Like a mallet.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an ultimate fighter, you can pick it up.
Or if you got your Memento behind you.
Just saying.
You could swing it around for one good hit.
I guess. If you grab it by the handles and start spinning, you would probably have to wait for your target to patiently, stand around while you were swinging.
Wait
it
for
at
1
them.
second. I'm going to do something awesome. I say that statement roughly once a
Like
day.
this would have to be someone you were planning on hitting but didn't know it was coming, and you needed them close to watch you spin the Segway, and then just clock like that's for stealing my girlfriend.
So anyone at work,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Okay. So Power Rangers then.
Power Rangers is awesome.
So I'm too old for this. I think you are too. I think we're out of that.
Yeah, I'm too old for this too.
Well, no, you were right at the age group for when they were popular.
Oh yeah, the original. It's not like I still watch Power Rangers.
I don't know what to tell you. I watched Transformers and then I watched it again because I had a kid,
Well, I wouldn't be surprised.
and I really wish I didn't.
I wouldn't be surprised if Power Rangers helped along the cause of anime fandom in the United States.
Oh, I think that definitely contributed.
Yeah,
to it.
because the whole Super Sentai thing overlaps with anime so much.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
It was a cheesy Silver Age superhero fun show. It had, it got me into comics, honestly.
Yeah, but it was that
indirectly.
special
But,
kind of cheesy. There's different kinds of cheesy.
Yeah,
Wait a
there's-
minute, though. Did you
there's
like-
the kind
did-
where it's
did you-
not
did
like
you-
the one you're saying? What?
Are you a fan of like the sequences with the teenagers,
Yeah.
having like a raffle at school?
Yes.
Because that's terrible. Those
It
parts
was
are the
it was
worst.
Saved by the Bell meets Transformers meets the '60s Batman show.
I don't know. I would say Saved by the Bell meets Voltron, but
Yeah, sure.
yeah, I mean, which was just as cheesy, or at least the American version was.
I loved, you know what? I present tense loved the show as a whole, except for the one or two seasons where they get too serious and up their own ass.
Do you think it's sort of underrated though? Do you think it doesn't get the kind of attention
think
it
that-
deserves?
I think that it's underrated in the sense that it is what it is. It's a show for kids. It's when I say it's very Silver Agey, it's not very realistic. It's very
Right.
It cares more about the story than it does about adhering to any sense of reality because giant effing robots.
Right.
Yeah.
But then the fans grow up and they're like, wow, I really liked Power Rangers as a kid. I wish that could be more mature. I wish that could be more. I like to call it grimdark. I might be using the word wrong, but to be fair, I don't
know if they're going to go for grimdark, but
No, I'm
something-
actually talking
something
about a previous season.
Oh, all right. I'm just
But I mean, Lionsgate, the guys who are doing the movie, they've done what? The Hunger Games, right? What else? Lionsgate did something else that I thought was ridiculous. Some horror movie, maybe.
they've done. I mean, they kind of got their start like a lot of studios
mean,
doing cheesy horror movies. but-
Honestly, I'm barely paying attention to the new reboot movie because it's not the show I grew up with.
Well, yeah, it's the same sort of thing with Transformers. A lot of people just outwardly dismiss the films because it wasn't going to, the character designs didn't look like what they looked like. And it's going to be a similar thing. I mean, it's going to have a washed out palette. It's going to be dark. It's going to be taking itself super seriously.
Well, the real problem with the Transformers movies is is that they were too popular. I mean, I don't know if the most recent one was. But
I can relate to that.
the problem
Made
is,
over $1 billion worldwide.
and the problem is the Transformers fandom is a little on the serious side.
A fandom that takes itself too seriously, you say.
Gads, you say.
Yes, yes. It's a
Speak
little
to me
bit.
of this mysterious phenomena.
I do not know those words in that order.
I believe there's a mantra they have: truck, not monkey.
Yeah, I don't know.
You lost me.
No, it has to do with.
Is that a Doctor Who thing? Because I
Optimus.
never understand Doctor
No,
Who.
it has to do with Optimus Prime being a truck versus the lead character in Beast Wars, who was a gorilla.
Those people are morons because Beast Wars was well written. It had plots that made sense. The villain actually had plans that worked.
Yeah.
There was an overarching story. The jokes were actually funny.
You got to give Transformers one thing, though. I don't think anyone had ever codified the trope of the backstabbing immediate subordinate quite as well as Starscream.
No, Starscream is an extremely memorable character. I think we can all.
Was he the blue
agree
one?
that- parts of him were blue. I'm just saying. Look, if you go back, these purists. I don't think actually go back and watch the original series, because in those days, kids' entertainment. They didn't put as much effort into it as they did. Now,
True.
the animation was terrible. It was sort of unprofessional. They would make these mistakes that were really obvious, and the writing was really inconsistent.
It was
Every
still
once in
better
a
than
while-
Filmation.
Every once in a while, you'd get a good episode. Hey, at least Filmation was trying to work a lesson in every once in a while.
Yeah.
I mean,
And to
a very heavy-handed, obvious lesson.
to their credit, Filmation did just about as much as they possibly could with their limited animation style.
Well, and they were also under a lot of pressure to work, just because of broadcast standards to work the lessons and stuff like that. I mean, I think He-Man is probably another franchise that could make it into a film series, and I think that you could update it and make it, or present it as entertainment for adults.
Yeah.
But you don't do it like they did back in the 80s. That movie was terrible. I mean, my opinion would be, much like Power Rangers, if you're going to make He-Man into a film, you keep the original imagery from the show. You sort of have it be kind of corny. You make Prince Adam this absurdly moral character
Yeah.
that no one else can match.
Lawful stupid.
But I mean, the same. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing with Power Rangers. Like, I don't want to see a Power Rangers movie where all of their suits are the same color, and they just have
I'm not afraid
a
of
red
that
stripe on the collar.
so much as I don't want. What was a really good example I've read online of what they're afraid they're going to do? I don't want them all to be orphans, just for that tragic, sad backstory.
Yeah.
They're happy teenagers who are happy to defend their world.
Well, that's what I'm saying. A mentally stable person, with his loving and supportive family, is probably better for that job anyway.
Admittedly, the whole orphan thing, if you don't handle it correctly, it's just another fridge stuffing. You don't want fridge
but
stuffing.
it's the same thing. You're rolling over it again. It's just Spider-Man all over again.
Cheap heat.
Yeah, it's enough already. But
You know what we haven't done in a while?
What's
Talked
that?
about a Joss Whedon sci-fi show that I love and Steve hates, Dollhouse.
I like the premise, if only because it's so creepy.
It was such a good show. People were confused or didn't like it or whatever because Eliza Dushku, the star, played a different character every episode. But that was the point.
I've never actually seen an episode of the show. So
I could have sworn you didn't like it.
I
I
just-
apologize for that dig.
I kind of thought the premise was dumb and then never watched it.
It was really good, but not for the main characters.
Yeah.
All of the ancillary characters were great.
Now, this was one of the shows that was killed by Summer Glau, correct? Is that?
Yes, Summer Glow became a regular in the second and last season. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
not a regular, but a recurring guest star, rather. So yes, that is another show on the list of reasons why I want to strangle Summer Glau.
Okay, so well, Arrow survived her presence,
For
but
now.
it was on the CW. Those 4 people that watch Supernatural got 10 seasons.
It's like, well, it may not be the rating, it may not have the greatest ratings, but it's still making a profit for us, so let's not cancel it.
Again, well, I mean, if you watch, and the show Arrow's star Stephen Amell is like a self-promotional savant.
Yes.
And he's generating like a huge amount of buzz for the fandom. And maybe it was just what CW needed was a good social media guy. Maybe that's what Dollhouse needed, or anything else that Fox has spent
Murdered.
tons of money promoting and then canceled after 13 episodes. I really liked Almost Human. They did not give that show a shot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Terra Nova was terrible though. I'm glad that went on. That show did not know what it was.
Yeah, I just straight up don't watch any shows on Fox anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
If they're good, I'll watch them in 2 years when they hit Netflix.
Exactly.
well, when they uncanceled Family Guy, the opening, I think that they did a cold open in the very first episode where they listed each and every show Fox had canceled since they canceled Family Guy.
Yeah. I remember that. That was
I
really
was so
funny.
mad when they canceled that 80s show.
Nobody was mad when they canceled that 80s show,
Yeah, just call me nobody.
I guess. Anyway, that's it for this episode, folks. Thanks for watching and keep being awesome.